Welcome to Transatlantic Wrestling Talk. I am your host, as always, Andy, and I'm joined today by my brother, as always, Dale. How we doing, buddy?
Hey, Andy, how's it going? Good seeing you, especially after the big bad wolf paid a visit to your home, correct?
yeah. Just in case anybody doesn't understand what he's saying, we had a storm over here in the UK, and my whole walls got blew over, which was great. Missed my car by inches, but well, it is what it is.
That's all right. The brand new car, you could have actually gotten more insurance for that. Probably bought another car, probably bought another wall. Yeah, I mean, you missed an opportunity there, but that's all right. But now instead you got a wall back, and we revisited 1990.
What a year.
It's incredible. We just pick out these random years to talk about, and we know certain characters and we know certain people that were featured in headlines. And I think one of them, you take a look at like both landscapes of, let's say WCW and, the NWA a little bit at that time. And then, we're talking about November and what happens around November. Yes, this is December right now as we're recording this, but we wanted to, go more in depth with November. And we just embarked on one of the best Survivor Series ever, So Andy, take it away, man. How do we start this off?
I don't know. Do you know what? I think the best place to start is debuts, because on this Survivor Series, we did have one of the worst debuts, as piculated right behind your head, my good man. And we had one of the best debuts. And it just shows you the different scales between pro wrestling of how a debut can be done so right and so wrong. Do you not think?
Yeah. They literally laid an egg with one of them. And it came out, and when you talk about that moment, that was built up for, I guess, maybe a couple of weeks prior. They were doing that on Superstars or the Wrestling Hour. Mean Gene kept popping in and was doing interviews and would say, "Oh, when's the egg gonna hatch?" The egg finally hatches, and we get the gook. We get the gobbledygooker. And I will say this: they danced. Gene and him danced in the ring for, it had to have been 12 minutes. It had to be a whole 12-minute spectacle, and nobody gave a crap in the crowd.
Honest to God.
Who was the gobbledygooker, my friend?
Hector Guerrero.
Yes, he was.
He was.
Yes.
And I bet you he was sitting there thinking, why me? Why me? And then he sees Mr. On the flip side of it, as we say, one of the better debuts, we see Mr. Mark Calloway come out as for the first time on screen as the Undertaker. Bet you Guerrero was looking at that thinking, why me?
Yeah. I mean, you could have, they bring in Mean Mark, but they could have easily slid in Hades Hector, to be accompanied by Brother Love. So you actually have love and hate. Oh my God, they missed out. Hateful Hector and Brother Love. I'm Mr. Heat Miser.
Did you know as well? Have you heard this? Have you seen the story the Undertaker actually said about before he's made his debut?
No, what?
And he seen the egg, didn't he? Because they had the egg for a while before the actual debut come out, and he was sitting at home and he was like, "Oh no, they're gonna put me in the egg."
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't
you
know
got
that.
a chance, go check it out. He said he's sitting at home and he's like, his head, his head's like falling off. He's just like, "Oh no, they're gonna put me in the egg. No, this is what was gonna be. I'm gonna be here shorter than anything." And then he's got a call off Vince McMahon, and he explained the old Undertaker character, and he was like, "Yeah, that can work. That can definitely work." He said he was so grateful because he thought he was going to get put in this giant egg.
I don't know. I want you to lay a stinker for WCW. You and Teddy. But that's the part of the beauty of looking at this stuff 30 years prior, because then the curtains pulled back a little bit for a lot of these retired wrestlers, and then you could hear stories like that. Like, all right, now we're seeing this resurgence of what the hell did they do with the Red Rooster? Like the Red Rooster was somebody that debuted not too long, like around that time too. So you had the Gooker and the Red Rooster. I don't know what it was. Maybe they were just in a foul time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Here you go. I'm gonna I'm gonna read out the exact story here of what Taker said with regards to this gobbledygook. It was on Broken Skull Sessions, believe it or not. So it says here, the feed on recalls the ads for Survivor Series 91, where he would be first appearing for the company. It was 1990, not 1991. They got that wrong, but hadn't been told what his role would quite be yet. Since the focal point of the ads were a giant egg big enough for a person to fit inside, the Undertaker feared he would be the one emerging for it. I'm going to be the Eggman. I'm convinced. I convinced myself to the point my stomach hurt. I'm going to be the Eggman. Taker confessed to Austin. The Surefire Hall explains the time of the outliners gimmicks in WWE, to which Austin nodded in agreement. Frankly, Vince McMahon would call him Shorty and refer to him as the Undertaker on the phone. At this point, he knew the egg was not for him.
I'm actually picturing him popping out of the egg and like a bright light shining out of it. Did they miss an opportunity with this? I don't know.
He did. Oh,
but that match was down the card a little bit. But what was our opener for there?
Shane Douglas versus Buddy Rose, believe it or not.
Yeah. Shane-O made a stop. The first ECW champion has made his times where he's popped in and up, and this is not the first time we brought him up. Talking about past years, so this was kind of interesting. He's didn't we talk about 91 or 92, and actually talked about how he did pop up for the British show, right? Yeah. So
I'll tell you what's interesting here is back in the day, and this was one of the first things that I kind of made a note on, was back in the day in 1990 especially, your position on a card meant a lot. It kind of meant where your stature was on this card, and the Warriors went on second.
Yep.
So do you think by this point he'd had enough by this point, McMahon, and he already knew what he was going to do with Warrior?
Absolutely. It's right there. Yeah. And then they had, and they kind of made it seem like, hey, we didn't really make a mistake, because you'll see later on in a promo, Hogan would actually hype him up with Tito, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So it shows two polar opposites right there when you think about it, Tito and Ultimate Warrior.
And if you look at it, the way that it was positioned at the beginning of the card, it was like, here's the Warrior and his return, Hulk Hogan. It was the big, the big promotion for Hogan as always. But if you even listen to the crowd pop, the crowds are ready for Hogan again, aren't they? But then, the one who made it was the headline of the show, and quite rightly, was Sergeant Slaughter.
Slaughter, if you guys watch this whole pay-per-view, I mean, Slaughter, as he's coming out for his match, made probably the most heated promo. You and I talked about this, the heated promo that you could ever do at that time, because it was Operation Desert Storm time. He was an Iraqi sympathizer. He came out with General
Odd enough.
Yeah, that's right. And I believe our Colonel Mustafa is not really around yet. And they ended up fighting. They ended up having a match, but Sergeant Slaughter was a huge heel, got death threats, were worried for the life of his wife, so you don't really find that too much now.
No, do you know why I tweeted Sergeant Slaughter not long ago about asking him if he's still got the limousine that he had around this time, the one that got battered by pretty much every town he went to, and he was like, yeah, it's getting put back on the roll, and then he followed me.
Yeah, he loves following people.
Yeah, he's cool, isn't he?
Yeah, he follows a lot of good porn sites too, if you take a look.
Well, no, he was
Twitter's
literally
lovely.
red hot here, and I think I've heard people in the past turn around and say that Hogan got back on top because Hogan was needed with Slaughter. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I believe that Slaughter and Warrior could have had this type of match and it could have been done right. I mean, don't get me wrong, the whole American Hero with Slaughter, awesome, great, no problem with that. But I believe Warrior's card was already marked before this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I think they were actually leaning towards doing that with Randy Savage because Savage was the best worker in the business. I know
Mm,
Flair's on the other side, and he'll be coming in shortly, but um, Savage is the best worker in the business. They had to give Warrior Savage their own because I think and that was a great
mm.
match in itself.
Do
That Warrior
you,
Savage one, but I truly believe that they were trying everything to actually grab the reins from Warrior at
do
that
you
time.
believe if Warrior, sorry, not Warrior, if Sergeant Slaughter wasn't about at this particular time, do you see um, Savage the one that takes the belt off Warrior?
If I booked it, yeah.
Mm,
Um, because he was just a better worker, better persona. He was everything that he said made sense.
yeah.
Even a cream of the crop promo, everything that he said just made sense.
Hmm.
Warrior just didn't sell it to me.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. Like I wasn't a big Warrior fan. I was always a Hogan Elysian guy. But to me, it just I don't see how you could have a pay-per-view just on this guy just running around every time, like every single time, and reincarnation of him.
Hmm.
And they tried to do it 4 times.
I know. I know. I tell you what's interesting here as well. What I noticed in the what just go back with the Warrior match is Demolition. I was so sad to see them here because you knew they were on the way out, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. That was the end, I think, of Axe. I think
Yeah.
that was Axe's last match, and then
Crush and Smash went on for a
Smash
bit.
and Crush. Yeah, and good only seeing Mr. Fuji there, but I mean, this is an opener, guys. You have
Hmm.
all Demolition there, and then you have Mr. Perfect leading the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Accompanied
Awesome.
by Heenan. It just writes itself. You
Mm.
know,
And do you know what the crazy fit? Do you know what I always feel? And I do feel sorry for Demolition. Do you feel like because Vince had finally got his hands on the Road Warriors, that's why he rolled up Demolition?
without a doubt, they were. Yeah, I mean, they were combative with that. I think it's also another whole Minnesota connection there too. You know, but
Yeah.
Demolition was just an over tag team, and then all of a sudden, it's like, all right, well, these LODs, their contracts are up over at Crockett Promotions, so I think
Mhm.
they were at Crockett right before they came in.
Yes, they was. They was.
Yeah,
They were everywhere, weren't they? But obviously the Warriors get the win on that one.
yeah.
Always
The
gonna
Sole
happen.
Survivor too, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll lead into this, and this is why we're going to start this off. The format of this was incredible, and should have been actually with every single Survivor Series too. The winners go to a last bout, the last
Hmm.
match of the card. So the
Mm.
winners, whether you have all four of your members, whether you're the only one, if you win, you're fighting later on the card, and
Yeah.
you'll see it just plays awesomely.
Mhm. And then we had the $1 million team. Obviously, we see in the. I'll never forget. Every time anybody mentions the Undertaker's debut, all I can think of is Roddy Piper. Every single time.
Oh, just how, yeah.
Look at the ham hocks on that one.
Piper was not really a good announcer. He
No.
made people excited, but the things that he said, they were left to be desired for him to go back into the ring. I think he
Yeah.
was still on his. I think he was still injured at this point too. But man, you believed in anything he said. But the problem is that did you know what the fuck he was saying?
No, but 7-year-old me just ate it up. Just ate it all up, mate. I loved it. He was the best, most just experienced commentator in 7-year-old Andy's eyes.
Oh yeah, that's right. At that point, he was just like everything he said was gospel.
Oh, it was gold, absolute
Mm.
gold. But I think it was Bobby Heenan said it right with Piper when he turned around and said Piper was never a great commentator because the job of a commentator is to get somebody over, and he didn't really get anyone over. He just got himself over.
He showed results. He would just talk about the results, so it kind of made sense. Like it'd be like, like there would be a DQ win. The belt didn't change hands. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's what a play-by-play guy does, you know. So same thing with sports too. You know, you have a guy that analyzes. I'm going to change my little guy here because there we go. Oh, geez. There we go.
And I'll tell you one thing as well on this one. This was the first time. I mean, I know he lost the match, but Bret Hart, I felt like Bret Hart was starting to get somewhere here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when he did the simple, when he got rolled up by Ted at that point. That's when he, the crowd was behind him a lot. And they knew that there was a future. I think everybody knew there was a future. When you look at the, you know, the stuff about beyond, what is beyond the ring, that's another thing. But the Dark Side of the Ring for the screw job, they said, you know, he was paying his dues, and they said, why don't we put it on Bret? This was during that time where Bruce Pritchard said he's reliable.
Yeah.
Probably the best worker that we have here. At that time, he could have been, because you had Perfect with him. You had, you know, people like Flair coming in.
It was only a year later. Well, not even. Well, no, it wasn't even a year later at SummerSlam 1991 when him and Mr. Perfect just made absolute history in my eyes.
History. Yep. Yeah. Great match, wasn't it?
Oh, it's always in my top 5. Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never, ever out of there.
And just the spitefulness out of Perfect at the end, who even still gave credit to Hart at that time. I think he shook his hand and fucking ran out and backed out like pissed. I loved that, man, because you just one of the best characters ever in professional wrestling.
Do you know what is very crazy in this Pacific Survivor Series is this Survivor Series is more important than people realize, not only for the Undertaker, but also you've got Bret Hart, who's just starting a singles run, and obviously he'd go on to have a major influence on the business. And also, not long after this, Shawn Michaels decided to throw Marty Jannetty through a window, and we were
Jannetty tried to jump out because he's a coward. Get it right.
Yeah. You know, so it just shows you really here. We've got obviously Undertaker comes in, Bret Hart is already on his way. Shawn Michaels is just about to start his journey here, you know, but there's 3 majorly influential people on the business within this pay-per-view. And I don't mean, you know, don't get me wrong, if you want to talk about influential people, you've got Perfect, you've got Hogan, you've got Slaughter, you know, the list goes on, but the next generation in this match is unbelievable.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's with Virgil in the same match too. But you know, actually a couple of different people in here. Like this match in particular had Dusty Rhodes in there. And let's point it out. Vince did not like Dusty.
No.
Vince did not, and just for him to kind of, I'm not gonna say job out, but being on this part of the card to where you're fodder to somebody, you know, like Undertaker, who, by the way, Undertaker got counted out. People don't realize that. He didn't, you know, he got some pinfalls, but he got counted out, which will lead into the last match. But, you know, just the future is here. Like the future is everywhere in this whole pay-per-view, you know, and you also have the past too, you know, and the past is, I mean, I'll give credit because I think Coco Beware is the first guy to take the tombstone, right?
Yep.
You know, and you know, he's like, how the hell am I going down on this?
do you know what makes me laugh now is when you look back, it's like, okay, when I was a kid, it was like, wow, tombstone and stuff like that. But when he hits it, and you think to yourself, don't you, Gorilla Monsoon kind of contradicts himself because he's going, who's this guy? Oh, it's the Undertaker. Oh, wow, we don't know anything about this guy. And then he hits Coco with the tombstone. He goes, oh, he hit him with the tombstone. Well, how do you know it's the tombstone? Do you know what I mean?
Did you ask him? Like, hey, I think he went up to Mark in the back and says, all right, you know, what's your finish? And then Mark goes, you'll know, and throws him the towel and be like, here you go, kid. You'll know the finish. Oh, yeah, crazy, I like it's the first time they see a move and they go, there it is. How the fuck do you know?
Yeah. He's just being going, who's this guy and what's he doing? And we don't have a clue about anything. But then now you're turning around and saying, oh, wow, he hit him with the tombstone or he's done, you know.
It's one big giant Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
So obviously they went on to, it was DiBiase that was the sole survivor on this one, wasn't he? And I liked, do you know what, this finish on this, I liked it. I really did like it. I mean, obviously we
Perfect.
know he was going on to, I was always quite sad that DiBiase was never used as a transitional champion. I would have liked to have seen him. I mean, obviously we got Warrior versus Hogan, which was great, and you know it was always needed to happen, I suppose. But I would have loved to have seen DiBiase as the champion in between them two. I think he would have fitted in perfect there.
Yeah, he was, he was a gimmick, but the most believable.
Mm-hmm.
And a great derivative of the '80s in itself with excess and just owning things, and I'm not going to say owning people because his sidekick was a different color. But
which just wouldn't wash today, would it?
No, it's like in retrospect. But then again, you know what? They killed Mr. McMahon, and then Mr. McMahon.
And you know where Virgil's name come from, don't you?
It was a woman, right? Like it came from from Dusty's.
It's from Dusty.
Yeah, it's from
Vince
Dusty,
McMahon was having a dig at Dusty Rhodes and turned around and called him Virgil off the back of it. That's where it all come from, my man.
How did Dusty come back before he passed away? That's like Ole Anderson hasn't even come back.
But even when he called him Virgil, he's there now. So he come in after the fact of that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, the way that the crossbody come across and then put on Brett and then rolled over, boom, 1, 2, 3. It's great. I like that.
I like when Brett just sits back up and he goes, shit.
Yeah. But really believable ending and really believable match, you know what I mean? And then we moved on to the next one, which was Hercules, Paul Roma, Rick Martel, and the Warrior. With Slick, the Doctor style. I love Slick. Absolutely.
Slick was great. Slick was Slick was great. He actually does autograph signings still. And I do want to kind of just go talk to him and stuff because he just, he had some, like he had the King of Beef there, Warlord, that's just, like, how do we talked about Warlord, like how he could have been a champion. And like, apparently when he was 18, he looked the same.
Yeah.
Scary.
It's crazy, isn't it? And he still looks the same now. Have you seen him recently?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a big hunk of meat, isn't he? And then Jake the Snake, Jimmy Snuka, Marty Jannetty, and Shawn Michaels. I tell you one thing in this, how good of a promo does Jake the Snake Roberts deliver here?
Always and forever, and always will be. It's like when you and I talked with John Arezzi a few weeks ago. He says that he was a great talent. The problem is the demons.
Yeah.
And the problem is the person that he is, but get him inside the squared circle for an interview and he was just wonderful.
Yeah.
He was really was. And this is when he was blinded too in the eye, I believe, right? From Martel. Before you and I went on the air, I'd like to say we started talking about during the year, is there a person that, who was the MVP? And I like to coin the phrase now is our epic. Okay. My epic for this year, Rick Martel. Yeah. Rick Martel was the absolute, he was the embodiment of a heel. He broke up with Tito at Strike Force, went his own way, said, I'm good looking. His promos were impeccable. Now he came back from the AWA, and had a great career. He never panned out as far as a world championship run. Look at everything he's done though in this, he's said, he'll say later that he's, all 4 of his teammates, the first 4 that have ever won, because they are the visionaries. We know the future, just a promo. He did that twice during this whole thing. And he just, look at his career. Okay. Unfortunately, it was stopped short because, when he went to WCW, he just had tons of injuries and it was terrible. But man, this guy just had the look and feel of heat and just was one of the most capable wrestlers they've ever had in the company, ever. Yeah. And he's one of my personal favorites ever. I would actually say he's a top 10 wrestler in my eyes ever. He shows it here. Watch what he does during this whole pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You see him more than once.
No, I agree with you. I mean, the only thing that I think is the epic of this year is Mr. Perfect in my eyes. Thought he'd had one hell of a year. Come in, shows exactly what he was. I think on November 1990, he was number 4 on the PWI top 10 list.
That's without even holding the world title, guys.
Yeah. He was above. He was actually above Ric Flair. Was in number 5. Rick Rude was number 6. 1 was Warrior, 2 Sting, 3 Luger, which I potentially disagree with. I think Kurt Hennig should be above
all 3 of those.
But,
Nah, he should be above all 3 of those. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like Sting. I don't see how he was that fantastic in the ring.
No. I tell you what's crazy as well. Do you know the tag team ratings from November of that year as well? Was number 1 was Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. Number 2 was the Rock and Roll Express. 3 was actually Demolition.
Wow.
The Rhodes Warriors aren't even in the top 10.
That's weird.
Yeah, so
that's weird.
1 was Doom, 2 was Rock and Roll Express, 3 was Demolition, 4 Midnight Express, 5 Steiner Brothers, 6 Hart Foundation, 7 Rockers.
That's an up and coming Rockers too, so they haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah, and then the Cutter Brothers after that, but it was just crazy. Most popular, obviously, Hulk Hogan's number 1 most popular. Most hated on this list. Everybody, I assumed it'd be Ric Flair. Who do you think was number 1 most hated in 1990? In November 1990?
Could be my Epic, because he did blind Jake, right?
Nope. He's
most
not even
hated?
Most hated.
He's not on this card?
Yes, he is on this card, yeah.
Oh, Slaughter. Gotta be Slaughter, right?
Earthquake. But I suppose that's just because of the
feud with Hogan, right?
The feud with Hogan at that particular time. I don't think we got into the whole Sergeant Slaughter wasn't off to the races at this point. Let's just put it that way, I think.
No, he just pissed all over every soldier that, was defending America, but that's okay. Let's have the Canadian guy that hurt Hulk Hogan's feelings, be the number 1 bad guy.
Right. Just one thing I did want to mention as well before I forget, and it's a really big point I've got on my notes here. Texas Tornado. He wrestles in this match. And not a lot of people know that. What's different with Texas Tornado in this match?
With Kerry?
Mm-hmm. Something different than most wrestlers.
He had tracks on his arm.
Nope. He has a prosthetic foot.
Okay.
Yep. He had lost his foot before this, and he was actually wrestling with a prosthetic foot on his lump, or whatever you want to call stump. And I've watched it back. Can't tell.
I couldn't even tell. I didn't know that.
Yep. He's had a motorbike crash and he's had his foot amputated at this point.
The poor guy, man. It's sad. It's sad. Hey, Hogan said that he was on a flight with Kerry a week before Kerry died. He said they were going to Japan. Kerry wasn't leaving Texas, so that's another lie that Hogan said.
Yeah, I was going to say. He wrestled a couple 369 days in a year, didn't he?
400.
400. Sorry, that was
400. Yeah.
So let's have a little look at the next match. Then we had Hulkamaniacs versus the Natural Disasters. Obviously, we'd go on to have a Natural Disasters team, wouldn't we? Do you know what I put here? Big Boss Man. Big Boss Man. He had a great theme. He had a great look. Why was he never a champion? Even Intercontinental champion, he should have had a run with something, shouldn't he?
Because he had too many ties to the hard times, brother. He had too many times to that Jim Crockett promotion. Nobody, that dirty, bad voodoo daddy. Vince McMahon did not want him there. He didn't want him. No, I don't know. They brought him in as Hogan's friend was going to feud with him, I think.
He did, didn't he, with the Twin Towers and stuff? He massively
Yeah,
feuded with Hogan. But this is
yeah,
when he turns he's in the middle of his face run here, isn't he? Baby
yeah,
face run.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure, man.
Mm,
I think he could have, but they didn't want to go too hokey with the gimmicks as a champion, I don't think.
mm.
Right? Like, although you have like, do you remember in Billy Madison, they had the revolting blob?
Yeah.
You could have had him like replace Earthquake,
Yeah.
like, and they
Oh, John
so
Tenter was brilliant, don't worry. He was really good.
we went over how, he was always shaking and moving. It's just
Yeah.
awesome, bro.
I mean, you look at tell you what, this Natural Disasters is a bad team, a bad man team, and you've got Earthquake, former, Yokozuna, legitimately tough guy. You got Haku. If you
It
haven't heard the
was,
stories, there's no point in discussing it. It was meant
yeah,
to be one of the hardest men that walked the planet. Got the Barbarian. You just need to look at the size of him to know he's a tough guy. And then you've got
Dino Bravo.
the Canadian Mafia. Dino Bravo.
Yeah, Dino was a great worker. Dino got the best out of people. He got the most out of people. He was a recognizable too. Actually, that's why he dyed his hair. When you look at no, seriously, when you look at him with just brown hair back in the day, he just was. You couldn't pick him out of a lineup. He actually looked like a beefier Bob Backlund at that point.
Yeah.
That's tough to say. Beefier Bob Backlund, Bravo.
I tell you one thing I will say though. Dino Bravo, like some people go on about how he never made it in the WWE or WWF at this time. I look at him, I can understand why. He just doesn't. He just bleh.
He got the best out of people, I think.
Yeah, he did do well with people, but him himself, for me, he didn't really impress me or do much for me.
That's why they had the weird pairing. I still say it's weird that he was paired with Jimmy Hart.
Yeah,
They don't look recognizable at all.
no.
I think, granted, we take a look at the history of Jimmy Hart, but like because he kind of the
I tell you what,
nasties.
that's an episode on its own, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean Jimmy's a legend. Jimmy still looks the same.
Yeah.
And
then next on the list, we had the Alliance, the best alliance that we've had.
By the way,
the
sole survivor of that one was Hulk Hogan. Even though I'm surprised they didn't have to make the last team of 4, like an even 4. Jim Duggan winning with him. I'm shocked by that.
Yeah.
And Duggan got counted out, I think, or he got disqualified because he used the 2-bomb.
He did, yeah. The one he had wrapped with the bows around it, which was awesome. Then we had the Alliance, Butch, Luke, Nikolai Volokov, and Tito Santana.
Weirdest team in the world. One of the weirdest teams.
Sergeant Slaughter, Sato, and Sato. The Orient Express, wasn't it? And Tanaka and Sato. And General Ardennant was there with him.
Here's trivia for you. Who did Sado manage?
Pass.
Hakushi.
Ah. Okay.
Remember he dressed up in the white, like, male geisha face paint?
Yeah. On this one, it's kind of a head scratcher for me. I would have had. I mean, I know the Alliance goes over because it's Thanksgiving, veterans, etc. But it would have been so much better if Slaughter went over here, wouldn't it?
Like I said, the most heated promo I remember within the past 3-4 years on national broadcast television, let alone a pay-per-view. And this is actually before these were back the day prior to Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving night, I think, right? Or were they prior for Survivor Series? They might have been the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So, but yeah, your family's there. Hey guys, thanks for coming in. We're gonna have dinner tomorrow, but let's watch this pay-per-view. And here's Sergeant Slaughter telling people how he doesn't care about the lives of the soldiers. But you know what? They did a great move at the end of this match. Tito was facing Slaughter. Tito made great comebacks against everybody. Slaughter had General Adnan There it is.
Adnan.
General Adnan actually it came in and hit Tito with the ref, actually bumped in the corner. First time ever. Ref is facing the people as he's, waking back up or he's slumped over. Adnan hits Tito with the flag. Camel clutch applied from Slaughter. Ref taps Slaughter on the shoulder. Slaughter thinks he won. Nope. Ref saw it. Tito wins. Crowd goes bonkers. Who is Tito? Look at Tito go.
Yeah, it's good. I just would like to see Hogan and Slaughter go against each other in the main event.
Sorry, I had a little bit more enthusiasm on that than I, and you were just matched up. You were matched up. Like, yeah, that's all right. Let's go to the videotape.
No, well, I get what you mean, but I just believe that, we should have had Slaughter in this match with Hogan. I mean, don't get me wrong. I totally get the fact that DiBiase in the headliner, can carry any heel team, you know what I mean, and make them a credible threat. But it would have been nice to see Hogan and Slaughter come face to face a little bit at first here.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been teased. It was like the tease of teases almost. So, and remember, Hogan had some of his best promos ever, for the troops. So they would actually be prompted by that, when he would have that intense look, and he always had that intense look, that was cocaine fueled. But when it came to America, that's why you have all these pictures that on 4th of July, Independence Day, you see nonstop, pictures of him carrying the American flag on social media. I'm sure you see it too.
Yeah. We see it over 100%. And the winners on this one was Hogan and Warrior.
And Tito, right? Did Tito get Tito won.
Tito got eliminated by the $1 Million Man.
Ah, okay. That's right. So let's just put it out there. So the setup was now every single winner was basically on teams. So they had faces and heels. There's a strict line there. You had faces and heels going off. So you had the three of Hogan, Warrior, Tito facing off against the Visionaries. Like I said, Martel cut a promo how his team was the first team. All 4 members survived. Awesome. Roma, Warlord, Hercules Hernandez, Hercules Hernandez was a big fucking dude and he was just, I like the Visionaries. Looking at that team and looking at Pride and Powerful in itself, you kind of wish they had more of a run.
Yeah.
Roma was a horseman at one point.
I know. Same with Jeff Jarrett for a week, wasn't it? I think a lot of people, the Horsemen started to become like the NWO and WCW. They just abused it, didn't they?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. If they waited long enough, I think Jannetty would have been an NWO member.
Imagine. Well, let's not forget Virgil was an NWO member. Or Vincent. Yes, Vincent. And that was the thing as well, because he called him Virgil in WWE. Dusty, who was booking WCW at the time, gave Virgil the name Vincent, and that's how it come to be.
Yes, but then they had VK Wall Street when IRS went over to WCW.
Yeah.
Who is VK?
I wonder.
By the way, one other thing. So Virgil just came out and said that when Arn Anderson and Sid got into a fight and Sid went to go stab Arn with the scissors, Virgil grabbed the scissors and he gave them the Brutus the Barber beefcake. And that's how he started the beefcake gimmick. He literally just came out and said this. I love Virgil. With all my heart and soul.
Do you know what I love most about him is that one where he's got a picture with Brooke Hogan and he goes, "Yeah, I made her pay $25."
But he's a businessman, and he said that he would charge Vince too.
Yeah. Well, he set up a stall on Vince McMahon's Hollywood Star, didn't he?
Yeah. We gotta get him on, man. We gotta get him on.
He come over here he come to a convention over Liverpool, and to be fair, he was a massive hit. Massive hit.
He's probably the first wrestling meme. If you think about it, he's probably the first wrestling meme. You know,
Yes.
him at that table. The fact that the whole banner's folded to where it doesn't show DiBiase's name and it just says Virgil.
Oh, all right. Well, that was 1990, mate.
Yeah, I mean WCW didn't really have too much as far as I'm not gonna say pay-per-view drawing power, because Halloween Havoc was the prior, and then I think
Yeah.
Starrcade, so they're leading into that. But just to go over, man, they had some cool stuff. You know, WCW was, they had Vader still going on in there, I think. You know, it's just, to me, this is where you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. The WCW weren't what they would become at this point, where they were still kind of on the outside and trying to get that leg into it, rather than
Yeah.
actually being in there at the moment.
right before Turner came in and helped.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well, as you say, November 1990 in the bag. Great month. Really, really significant in wrestling history. In my eyes, one of the best months in terms of significance in the early 90s.
even to today. Yeah,
Yeah, even till
absolutely
today,
translates.
it's massive. If you look back, you can see some of the really top stars in their younger days, and you've still got the likes of the drawing power of Hogan and that in here.
What are you going to give this on a star rating? As far as let's do 10 stars.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to give this one 8. I'm going to give it 8. I thought it was a really, really solid pay-per-view. I thought it was. I love the concept of every match, apart from the opener, which is fine because it's just a little bit of a warm match into it. But the first match going in after that with the whole Survivor Series format matches, and then the whole heels and faces winning and going into the final eliminator match. I just thought the whole concept was great.
Fantastic. Yep. I'm going to go with an 8 on here too. Take aside the gobbledygooker.
That's what stopped it getting a 9.
Yep. Yeah. It killed the crowd. It really did. But other than that, you had no title matches and you didn't need them.
No.
You did not need them because everybody was showcased.
Yeah, and that was the beauty of Survivor Series, and unfortunately, it doesn't go on to this day, which is kind of sad. But back then, it was the titles didn't need to mean anything because the whole format of Survivor Series meant what it needed to.
Yep. Yeah, we went into Survivor Series 02, and every title changed hands. So, and there was no Survivor Series matches.
Yeah, it's like this year, really. Isn't it? Well, guys, that was the 1990, November 1990. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, like the videos, subscribe to the channel down below, and keep checking us back for weekly content. I know obviously we missed last week. Apologies for that, was on me. But going up to over the Christmas period, we'll make sure that we do churn out some good content for you. And also check out me and Dale over on WrestleBuddy. We're also doing stuff over there. If you like our show and you want to get some more content from us, go over there and check it out. We do some stuff totally different to what we do on this channel.
Lots of great content providers too, guys. It's just a great community as well. Do live feeds. It's awesome. So I believe there's a War Games one tonight too, right?
There is. Yeah. So make sure you go over and check us out, guys. And for me and Dale, we will be back next week with another show. Until then, take care, guys, and we will see you soon.